You know, for you teachers out there, let me tell you how verbal judo started for me in teaching. Remember, the word judo means to redirect. Man pushes, you pull. Someone pulls you, you push and you move with. Well, that sounds all very nice. When I graduated from Colgate University, I took a job teaching senior English at Princeton High School in Princeton, New Jersey. They gave me 2 academic sections, 1 advanced placement section, and a 4th section known as general students. Now, the general students, they did not really tell me, had a history of being together for the past 7 years. They had chased 3 teachers out of teaching. They had caused huge amounts of problems for the school and the administrators, and they've been kept together as kind of a problem class. All they told me was, these are non-academic kids. Have fun with them. And they were my first class at 8 a.m. So imagine me at 21, my first teaching job. It's 8 a.m. in the morning, and I have 30 students in class. Mixed races, Hispanics, blacks, whites, Asians, American Indian or 2. I passed out a book that I had carefully selected called God is My Co-Pilot, about men in war. I thought they might like to read something like that. So at 8:03, after introducing myself, I passed the books out. At 8:04, a great big black kid with arms as big as my legs stood up from the back, took the book in one hand and said, "I'm not reading any shit this semester." And he whipped the book in half, and 29 other students picked the book up and ripped them in half. Now I had 60 copies of God is My Co-Pilot on the floor, and had no idea what to do. Look, I had spent 4 years in college. No one ever suggested that kids might rip up the book. That never came up. Several options ran through my head. You could take the guy to the principal's office, but then you get to take 30 people, and then they fire you because you can't control your class. I certainly can't beat up 30 people, and I can't run from the room screaming and tearing my hair, which I had in those days. What to do? I had no idea what to do. So I fell into an old judo practice, move with. I didn't know it at the time. I pointed to the big kid that had first torn the book up. I said, "What's your name, buddy?" He said, "Pete Weber." I said, "What makes you so good you can rip a man's work up?" He says to me, "I'm the best mechanic in town, Jack." I said, "Really? A mechanic, are you?" I said, "Okay. You know what you're going to do tomorrow? You're going to do this class. You come in and you talk about carburation. I don't care where you get a carburetor, but bring one in, you're on." Dismiss the class. The next day in comes Pete Weber, 2 carburetors dripping with gasoline. He just ripped them off the teacher's lot. Thank goodness they didn't know where my car was. He comes in with some paper and these carburetors and, "Sit down," he says. We all sat down, and he magically began to tear the carburetor apart, explaining it clearly. Now here's a guy who's semi-illiterate, hates reading, can barely get out an English sentence. Clean, clear as a bell. I'm sitting in the back thinking, wow. Nobody gave him any trouble because he's the biggest, meanest guy in the class. At one point, some guy pulled a knife, started waving in the air, and he said, "Put that knife away or I'll break your arm." The guy looked back at me, and I said, "Hey, I'm not running the class." The guy put the knife away. At the end of class, I said to Peter, I said, "What do you know about race car carburation, buddy?" He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "How's it different from what you talked about today?" He said, "I don't know." I said, "Well, in about 30 days, you're on again. Report number 2. He said, "Where am I going to find out about race car carburation?" I said, "Try the library." He said, "I'm not going to go to any library." I said, "Then find a car, steal a car, do something, but I want you in here talking about race car carburation. Good job. Get out." And I grabbed some pimply-faced, long-haired kid coming out past me in the hallway, and out of my class, and I said, "You there, what do you do?" He said, "Well, I play pool." I said, "Really? You any good?" He said, "I'm the best." I said, "Really?" I said, "Well, tomorrow you're on. I'm going to bring a pool table in, one of those miniature ones. You talk to us." Next day, this guy comes in. I have my little pool table there. Here was a guy that got F's in algebra and math. Magical knowledge of angles, friction, draw. Spellbound I was. Spellbound. At the end, I asked him what he knew about Willie Mosconi, the great pool player. He said, "Oh, I hear he's pretty good." I said, "Well, how good is he?" 31 days from now, you're on. "Where do I find out more information?" He says. I said, "Try the library. I ain't going there." I said, "Then dig him up if he's dead or find him if he's alive." But anyway, you're on in 31 days. Make a long story short, every kid did their thing, or his or her thing. 31 days later, or 30 days later, Pete Weber comes in with a stack of note cards. He's on report 2. I said, where'd you get that idea of note cards? He said, there's a fat lady in the library that, they got a whole automotive section in there. I said, really? He said, yeah, sit down, I'm going to talk. Everybody sat. He did his thing. By the way, during that month that they were all doing their own thing, girls talked about baking, some guy talked about trapping. I was ordering books around their interests. 31 days later, the other guy comes on. I finally passed books out 40 days later, and they read and they wrote. What's the point? Here's the point. There's only one educational principle worth knowing. You can't teach anybody anything unless you go from what they know to what they don't know, which is what you're trying to teach them. My mistake had been, I was starting with my notes, my book. Pete Weber taught me the most important lesson in teaching. Start with your students, start where they are, use their language, use their material, and move them from point A to point B. That's a judo principle, moving people using their own energy. Verbal judo for teachers. Too often we resist. We try to force our lessons onto them. This way I drew it from them. Remarkable what verbal judo can do if you use the techniques.